Progress.
Hi, my dear Astro family. Here is the we aspect of the week, and I picked the Sun and Neptune conjunction because I'm going to break it down for you from a transit point of view as well, and I'm going to give a hint and tips how to manage this aspect also in your natal chart. This could be a bit of a difficult aspect, so I decided to talk about that. Now, this is going to be taking place on the 17th of March in most time zones. And this is the aspect of escapism and rest. Now, thank God it is falling on a Sunday. So, of course, this would indicate that you might have got the opportunity to rest, to run away a little bit, maybe taking a bit of a break, trying to switch off the brain, not focusing on work and all those type of things, because this aspect is actually requiring you to do that. Sun is the planet of vitality, but it also connects to your life mission as well. And Neptune is about walking on a spiritual journey. So when you have got this natally, this would indicate that you need to be walking on a spiritual journey. By the way, I am going to be doing a webinar on the astrology of death. I was quite shocked that many people are interested in this topic. So I decided to put a material together, and I think at least 60 people signed up for it already. So if you want to do that, it's going to be happening on the 16th of March. I think it fits very well with the Sun and the Neptune conjunction as well. So you can check that out on my website. So remember what the Sun is. The Sun is about developing an identity. That's the final destination of our life. And the Sun wants to be visible. It wants to lead. It wants to be on a central stage. Now, Neptune is pretty much the opposite of that. It wants to hide away. So the reason why this could be a bit of a challenging aspect is because Sun is the ruler of Leo, while Neptune would be the modern ruler of Pisces, and those two signs are in quincunx. So therefore, there is nothing in common between the two signs. They've got different modality, they have got different element, they have got different gender as well. And often this comes with loads of frustration. Quincunxes could connect to psychological problems and childhood traumas as well when you are looking at your own natal chart. So this is a little bit more on the challenging side. Now, I would say that when you have got Sun and Neptune connecting, remember that the Pisces higher vibration is about a transcendent unity. It wants to be one with the God, it wants to be one with another person, with life. It wants infinite love and beauty without any type of limitations, no discrimination. It has got its ideal about how the perfect world should look like. And often the learning curve of a Neptunian feeling is to let go, to sacrifice, to melt something. And the Sun is connected to that. So which is about our identity. So sometimes we need to let go of certain type of ideas, what we've got. Often what happens is that you kind of believe that I cannot do this. I cannot do that if I'm not one with the collective, or if I do something like other people do, that I won't be special anymore. If I give myself up to Neptune, then I'm going to get lost somehow. But actually, it's about the connection to have a connection to greater good somehow. Or it can give you the feeling like no one will remember what I did. I'm just a small piece in the puzzle. And the Sun has got all these type of problems with connected to Neptune. Of course, this can make someone extremely sensitive. Now, this conjunction is taking place in the sign of Pisces. So it's about sensitivity, psychic power, empathy, and sympathy as well at the same time. So the reason why you might want to be escaping 2 days before and 2 days after this conjunction is because you just feel the pain of others, and it can become overwhelming. and then it might drag you down. And the sun represents your vitality. So often you feel drained out, and then you just want to be sleeping a little bit more. You want to be laying low. You want to be, taking a hot bath, or you want to be just swimming and listening to music and not caring about what is going on in the world. With the Sun and Neptune elements, there is something I call as the spiritual materialism. A spiritual materialism is the belief that a certain temporary state of mind is a refugee from suffering. An example would be using, let's say, meditation practices to create a peaceful state of mind, using drugs or alcohol to remain in a numbed out or euphoric state. That comes from the fact that there is a lot of suffering going on in our lives. And I decide to take drugs or to have alcohol instead, because then I don't feel that pain much anymore. So we need to be careful with this. Any type of addictions could be coming with it. Now it's in the sign of Pisces, so it could bring in the alcoholism and the drug problems, but Pisces rules addictions overall. So we might be taking a painkiller, for example. Now, there could be a physical level as well, kind of like this physical materialism as well, where we kind of believe that having certain items are going to make us happier somehow. But there is psychological materialism as well, which is the religious or the spiritual belief will lift us from our suffering and leads to relief. And it can kind of end up as a competition as well. It's kind of like a spiritual stage. And that's what the sun actually represents here as well. So we do need to be very careful. Now, the other major meaning of Neptune is connected to guilt. So Neptune signifies ideas, the highest level of the consciousness, the infinite love, selflessness, willingness to give up for the greater good. And then if we start deviating from this, we can feel guilty about it. And remember, the sun is the identity. It wants to be unique. It wants to be unapologetically me. So if I walk away from that stage, or if I walk towards that stage, then I can feel guilty about it. And we tend to believe that I'm here to somehow relieve other people's pain. And then we can feel lost. So in psychology, we call this as the drama triangle, and it has got three components. We've got the first stage where you are a victim, and then you're going to say, oh, poor little me, and I feel powerless and hopeless, and I need help from others. And we end up attracting people into our life who are going to be solving our own problems, or you are going to be solving other people's problems. So there is a rescuer stage here as well, who is going to be soothing the victim. And the rescuer does that because they want to feel important somehow. They want to be loved. They want to be appreciated. So they are going to be ending up maintaining the victim's status. And then the third stage is the persecutor, who is going to start being critical, controlling, blaming, oppressive, sometimes angry as well. Because let's say you tried helping someone and then they are not taking your advice, or they walk away from you, or they are not asking for help anymore because you sorted their life. And then with that Sun and Neptune aspect, it's very easy to get around this drama triangle quite a lot. And then we've got that guilt complex element to it as well. And the guilt, is a self-conscious emotion that involves negative evaluation of the self. So you can talk down on yourself today. You can feel distressed. You can feel like a failure. The sun wants to achieve something. And we start thinking that, it's kind of like a summary point now with this new conjunction happening between Sun and Neptune, which only happens once a year anyway. And you realize that I haven't achieved anything. So it could lead to anxiety, crying, insomnia. From a medical point of view, the sun is one of your high leg. Now, high leg is the life giver. So it could talk to you about muscle tensions, upset stomach because we worry a lot, or we regret certain type of decisions in our life. There are a number of different factors that can contribute to guilt complex. So I'm not going to go into that today, but if you just pick one type of guilt, which is with the Sun and Neptune, it could be about the existential guilt. And this type of guilt can be very complicated and often centered on things like guilt over injustices or guilt about not living according to one's principle. There is a survival guilt there as well. So a lot of psychological matters that comes up with the Sun and Neptune. And we might end up taking antidepressants, for example. This aspect is inviting you to forgive yourself and to forgive maybe a father figure as well. Forgiving for being me and wanting to shine or live the life to the fullest. That's the learning curve with Sun and Neptune. But it gives you psychic abilities, a heightened sense of intuition, a huge sense of imagination and creativity as well. In your natal chart, often it gives you very difficult childhood experiences where your self-esteem got injured at a very early age. And you might have thought that your needs were not important at all. Or maybe you didn't have the money for clarinet lessons, for example, or the parent played the role of the martyr and cried a lot, or you felt betrayed by your parents, or the parents were not there emotionally, or the parents were addicts, drug addicts, alcohol abusers. Or often, actually, this is even indication that the parents are actually jealous of their own children, because the children are living something through what they were not able to. The parents cannot tolerate that they were upstaged by their own children. And psychologically speaking, Jung said that there is this one generational improvement. So we are all hierarchy of our parents, believe it or not. We are all superiors over our parents because you are here to improve your life, to make it somehow better. And then we can feel guilty with this aspect that, oh, my poor parents are struggling and I'm living a better life. Also, this could be spoiled child syndrome as well. So it could work out in a completely different way that we were, given everything, or mommy told you, oh, don't touch the knife, don't slice the bread because you're gonna cut your fingers, and I'm gonna do that for you. Where does that lead? You're not gonna know how to slice a tomato when you grow up, and then you are always going to be relying on others. So again, the loss of identity element. This could represent bipolar, for example. And one of the favorite topics of the century, which is primary narcissism. So we're going to end up attracting narcissistic people. And, we like using this word quite a lot recently, but I tend to believe that we are all narcissistic. The primary narcissism is actually a psychoanalytical theory, the earliest type of narcissism in which the infant's libido is directed toward his or her own body and its satisfaction rather than toward the environment or an object. And every infant is going to go through that stage. Of course, when it gets overdeveloped, then when we grow up, we tend to be practicing this on other people as well. The Sun is the ego, and Neptune kind of shrinks things. I mean, just think about when you are swimming, for example, what's going to happen to your skin, right? It dries out, and then you might even look smaller, certain body parts of yours. So here the ego is a little bit smaller, deflated, or you become extremely generous and giving with this. Or we want some preferential treatment. One of the fear of Sun and Neptune is the fear of collapsing into nothingness. So it can make people envy as well. Envy of other people, or they have achieved something and I haven't been able to achieve something. I mean, it really depends you know, what sign, for example, this conjunction is falling into. So if the sun is a little bit stronger, then we've got a lot more tendency towards narcissistic behaviors or attracting narcissism. And if Neptune is the stronger, we can still attract them, but probably we're going to be more of the victim element as well. Also with the Sun and Neptune, I can talk about this for hours, by the way, but it talks to you about ego defense mechanism, and we all create those. Now, there are loads of defense mechanism. I'm just going to give you one example here. For example, the projection, because that might be connecting to Pisces a little bit more. And just to give you an example on that, let's say you accuse your boyfriend on cheating on you because you have felt like cheating on them. And then we're going to be somehow projecting that onto others. But there is the sublimation as well, where, for example, channeling aggressive drives into playing football or inappropriate sexual desires into art, or there is the displacement, which is taking your anger toward your boss out on your spouse or children by yelling at them and not your boss, and so forth. So there are different types, and we have got the tendency to do that with Sun and Neptune conjunction. Now, on the positive side, or maybe how to make it better, escape a little bit, think a little bit, rest, lay low, take it easy, don't put too much on your plate, soak the sunshine in on the beach. Avoid moody people or people who somehow irritates you or drag you down. Do a bit of a body cleansing, do healing work. Maybe you want to be swimming a little bit, develop your psychic abilities further. And you know what? Cry as well. Crying can be really healing. If you are tired, sleep a little bit more. Do something that is nourishing your soul as well, and just be compassionate towards yourself. And maybe you can even do some charity events around this as well. So guys, this would be the aspect of the week. Very briefly, as I said, I can talk about Sun and Neptune for a very long time, which I did in my aspect class, where I spoke about all the planetary combinations. I think it was a 16-week class. And definitely this was one of the longest one I spoke about, because Sun and Neptune can be really challenging. So I hope to see you on the Astrology of Death class coming up on the 16th of March. See you soon. Bye-bye.